Writing views in Django is a crucial aspect of creating web application. So in this video you are going to learn how to create a very simple view, that is function based view, how to pass data from the view to the template, how to map the function based view to the URL, and also how to redirect from the views itself and pass JSON data, actually return the JSON data. So without wasting any further time, let's get started. Well, hi, I am Shubham and subscribe to become a better software developer. So first question is, what are views in Django? Well, views are Python classes or function that takes in the request given by any user, and then in return it returns a response into Django web application. How views work in Django? To simplify, view takes in HTTP request generated by the user and returns with a HTTP response. And views consist of all the business logic and all the algorithm and functions that you want to contain, and also it interacts with the database as and when required. So without wasting any time, let's jump into the code. In the previous video we have already seen how to create the views. So let's first understand what is happening over here. So over here we took a function, or we created a function, Python function def, and gave it a name of index where it is taking in request. As I said earlier in the video that it takes in the HTTP request, and in return we are returning with HTTP response and with this message, that is hello. So why don't we run and see how it looks on the screen. So we'll say python manage.py. Actually I need to navigate inside the directory. So make sure to activate your environment. My environment is already active. I'm going to do is navigate inside the main project and say python manage.py run server. Let me bring it up a little bit and we'll go over here and say localhost, or actually 120. Let me zoom in, and as you can see it is saying me hello. That means it is taking in the request over here, and in return it is returning with this hello message. And this is happening because we have already created our function called as blank path over here, and it loads index function on blank path. That means on this path it is loading my index views index function, which is this one, and it returns with only hello. Printing this hello and small messages is fine, but web development is all about creating dynamic website. So how about if we want to display any HTML file that loads dynamic data, how to do that? So for that, why don't we go ahead and create our HTML file first, and then let's do all the configuration related to it. So for that I'm going to create a new folder. Actually let's create it inside here. I will call it as templates. Inside templates we are going to create index.html. In this one I'm going to press exclamation mark and use emit, press enter, and let's say code with SJ. And over here we'll first say is hello world. Okay, hello world. Let's save this. Now if we want to load this HTML file on any function, or basically on any path, for that we will have to do a configuration. So for that let's go to settings.py, and over here let's create our template directory. So template_dir, and for that we are going to say base directory /templates. So this means whatever folder that we created that contains these HTML files, that is that folder name, and this is the base path, and we need to load this template directory into templates over here dirs. Save this, and in views let's create a function called as first, and this will again take in request, and over here while returning, instead of it returning HTTP response, now we want to render our HTML file, right? So for that we are going to say render. First parameter it will take is request, second parameter it will take in the file name or HTML file name. So HTML file is index.html, and we are going to take this first and we are going to go to urls.py, and over here we are going to create our path. Let's call this as first, or actually let's keep it as first because I don't really have a good name in my mind right now, so that's why first. And on first we'll load views dot our function, that is first, and we'll give the name also of first. Okay, we'll put a comma, save it, and if we go to the browser and in the URL bar, if we say first, as you can see, it is loading hello world. But in order to make sure that it is loading from here, let's put another exclamation marks over here, 2 exclamation marks, refresh the page, and as you can see, it is updating. That means instead of like passing the data from here, we loaded an HTML file or rendered an HTML file, and that is being displayed over here. And as you can see over here also, it is saying code with SJ, which I put as title of the HTML file. So this is how we are able to load or render our HTML file. Now, of course, we want to show dynamic data into our HTML file, right? Where let's say that hello Shubham, how are you, or something like that. So for that, the name will be dynamic, correct? So let's pass a dynamic data from here itself. I will copy this one and comment it out so that y'all can later on refer it. And I'm going to again paste it. And in order to pass the dynamic data, there is something called as context dictionary. It is just a name. You can name anything, but let's stick to context dictionary for now. Okay, so I'll call it as dict. This will be a dictionary. Over here, whatever variable that you want to pass is specified over here. Let's say that we want to pass name, right? So name will be Shubham. So this is my name, and in order to pass that to that particular HTML file, all we have to do is put a comma and paste it over here. That is context dictionary. And in HTML, in order to access it, all we use is double curly braces, and we'll say name. We'll explore the HTML file, or also called as templates, in upcoming videos, but for now just bear with me. And as you can see, it is saying Shubham. Now you wanted to pass some dynamic data which is not just of type string. So I wanted to pass what do I work. So I work, let's say, is a list. I work as full stack developer. Then I am also a YouTuber, and I do freelancing. So let's save this, and in order to access this, we are going to go again to the index.html, and in this one we are going to say work. Let's save this, and if we go back to the browser, over here you can see it is printing the entire dictionary. So we can of course deserialize it and like print or do a for loop, and in that we can print on individual line, but that is for another video. Let's continue on the views video right now. So this is how we are able to render an HTML and also pass dynamic data to the HTML, that means dictionary. And over here what you could have done is like get the data from the database and then showed it on the HTML file and etc etc. That of course we'll do while creating our blogs application. But now let's move on to the next part of this video, that is you want to redirect the user from the views file to some other place. So for that we'll create another function, we'll call it as second. In this one also it will take in request. And by the way, one thing I missed over here to show you, a renderer is imported from django.shortcuts.import renderer. And if we move to second function, over here we are going to say is return redirect and whatever path you want to give it to. Let's say you want to redirect the user to the Google or any other web page. So https://google.com. And of course we need to import this redirect, and that comes from shortcuts. So we'll put redirect over here. And it says from django.shortcuts import render and redirect. Let's save this. And of course we need to give URL for this. So let's do this path second, and in this one we are going to again say views.second, and we'll give name equal to second. Let's save this, go back to the browser, refresh this, nothing will happen because when we go to second, at that time it will redirect me to google.com. So let's go back. Now let's say that you wanted to redirect the user to your one particular function instead of sending the user to some external site. So for that, I'll actually copy paste it. I'll comment the old one, and instead of redirect, whatever the path you have, right, that we are going to specify. So let's say that we want to send the user to first. So for that we have to put in /first because that is the path of that first function, and we'll go is second, and when we go to second, if you see over here, it redirects to first again. Or we'll do is we'll go to blank path first so that you all can totally understand it, and we'll type in second, and as we go to the second, it redirects me back to the first page, that is this URL. Now in some of the videos back, I had told you that I will show you how to use this name from the URL, right? So that part has come now. What we'll do is we'll copy paste it, comment the old one, and we'll remove this. Okay, and if we save it, go to back to the browser, let's go to / and again we'll go to second, and as you can see, it is redirecting me back to that. It might be confusing. You all might say that both of them are same, so why don't we do one thing? We'll comment this one, and on top right we have this where we take in ID, correct? Without ID it won't work. So what we'll do is we'll take index function, we'll go to the browser, to the urls.py, and in this one we are going to take this name and not this path. We are going to take the name, go back to our views, and paste it. So what I'm trying to do is show y'all that we can use these names also to redirect to that particular path. So let's save this, and if I go to second now, as you can see, no reverse match at second found. Reverse match for index ID with known argument are not found. Basically it says it threw an error. It tried with this but it did not work. Why? Because if we see this one path, it is expecting us to send an ID, so that is why it is giving us error. But important thing to note is that we are able to use name to redirect to that particular path. So how do we pass ID over here for this one? So in order to pass the ID, you can do your old traditional way where I will show you. For example, we can put f string and then / and some ID over here, and where we can declare the ID over here, correct? But this is not really how you want to explore, because let's say that in future if we change this path, it should be this, okay? If we change this path, we will have to find each and every location of this URL and update it. So that is not where we want to go. So for that, Django also provides us with another shortcut, and that all we have to do is in this redirect, right, put a comma and put whatever the path param is, that is ID over here. So ID equal to, let's say, 1, and save this. If we go back to browser, press enter, and as you can see, we are getting redirected to the blog /1, and this one came from here. Let's say it was like 111 or something, anything that you want to go crazy about. So if I say and go back to second, and as you can see, it is taking 111 over here, which is crazy, right? It is so simple to even use this name and pass on this data from here, from the redirect itself. Now let's move to the last part of this video, that is how to return a JSON data. So for that, we are going to say for third, I ran out of the function names, so you can write your own function name. I am writing third for now. All we have to say is return JSON data. So JSON actually response, and whatever response you want to give. Let's say you wanted to give ID as 123, then name as Shubham, correct? And we need to of course import this. This will come from django.http import http response, JSON response. Let's save this, go back down over here. We don't have to do any more thing in the views. all we have to go in urls.py and create a new path. So path third, and in this one we are going to take in views.third and we'll name it also as third itself. Let's save this, go back to browser, access the new URL that is third. Do I need to put a front slash? Actually, let me see what did I miss. And there was spelling mistake, of course. And as you can see, right now we are getting JSON data over here instead of any HTTP or the HTML file data. So that's it for this video, guys. In this video we have seen how we can get data by using these functions, view functions. In the upcoming video we will see how to post data, that means how to submit data to the server and how to access it into our views. So thank you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.